What's going on, y'all? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. There is so much content come out lately that I just know comically little about, and that bothers me. So, only one thing to do. Time to break up the Creature Chronicles once again. This week, we are talking about the Naga. If you're liking what you're seeing, like, subscribe, ding the bell. Stay caught up on all your stuff. Oh my god, I almost broke all of those bracelets by doing this. ASMR. For now, let's dive in. So, real quick before we begin, kids, this video is going to spoil, in a big way, Iron Fang Invasion, a first edition adventure path. You have been warned. Okay, so I'm guessing I said this already in the One Nagaji video. I'm also guessing that 5 years ago Tommy didn't say it any fucking where as good as he could have. We live and learn though. On planet Earth, Naga are a race of divine, serpentine humans, for whom rituals too have been taking place throughout South Asia for a very, very, very long time. These practices are as wide and varied as the many, many, many different cultures who practice them, and much like a lot of other things in tabletop role-playing games that have a direct real-world equivalent, the real-world lived experience of people is often interwoven into our stories. I'ma just keep shouting praise Liga at the top of my lungs. Wow, I should have put that in the Wednesday afternoon worship. Lika is about taking real-world concepts and converting them into stories, but is not about cultural appropriation. Huh. And somehow I'm more here for it. But in Pathfinder, a very, very, very long time ago, like before Earthfall, long time ago, during the Age of Serpents, Nagas were the first rulers of the continent of Vudra. There were several humanoid beings who served them, and they did so by building grand temples and palaces where the Naga could live and be worshipped. In return, the Nagas got to organize society. This made a caste system. Caste systems aren't great, but like most horrible, terrible, bad empires, they fall. There are a lot of different speculations as to why. The truth has been lost to history. But after that happened, the Nagas retreated to live in the ruins of civilization and broke off into their different subspecies and stopped working together. They've since spread across Galarian, and if we crack open Lost Omens and Possible Lands, the relations between humans and Nagas have improved immeasurably since then. The history between the two people is long, and memories even longer. Nagas aren't unwelcome sights throughout Eastern Garund, but there's almost always some measure of distrust when dealing with them, as one can never be sure if a Naga visitor might still hold to the concept of other people as property. Beings living a long time, wanting to reestablish old empires with them at the top. Man, where have I heard that before? It's a trope as old as time, like the Nagas. There are a couple exceptions to the general retreat from society, live in seclusion theme that we see with the Nagas, the first of which is Nagajor in Tian Sha. By a lot of accounts, it's the only real remnant of that empire, a state where Naga are still openly worshipped, the origin state of the Nagaji ancestry, and likewise there are still some Majapandas within Vudra itself which are openly ruled by Naga. And then also there's that dark Naga that made friends, air quote, with a hobgoblin who was angry at her station and then got inside her head and the heads of many others and convinced her to steal an artifact so she could drop a vault within the plane of Earth on Avestan and kill a bunch of people. But mechanically, Naga run such a wide gambit. Not only can you find Naga of like every alignment across Pathfinder 1e and 2e, they're also a very real, very prevalent, very present, at least in the span of Galarian's history, kind of people who are aberrations. Most of those come from very far underground or outer space. Maybe that has to do with their origins in like AD&D, maybe they were aberrations there. But spellcasting is the theme. Forgive me, kids. I'm going to stick with the second edition Naga for this one, otherwise we'd be here forever. And really they occupy the same niche mechanically as they did in 1e. powerful spellcasting beings, the weakest of which the Lunar Naga, able to access 3rd level primal spells, the Guardian Naga having access to divine 5th level spells, and then Spirit and Dark have occult and arcane. Okay, you know, I like that. I had questioned in the Nagaji video why that they weren't divine, because get power from Nagas who they worshipped. This seems to make infinitely more sense to me now, because there are beings that reach through all 4 magical traditions. But they aren't just spellcasters. As you might guess from their serpentine appearance, all 4 of them are poisonous. Their poison being very varied. The Dark Nagas makes you slowed 1 on stage 1, slowed 2 on stage 2, both of those for a round, and then stage 3 is unconscious with no perception check to wake up for 1d4 plus 1 minutes, or dead, generally. Spirit Naga hits you with poison damage and makes you 1 for a round, and then 2 for a round later on. The Lunars makes you 1 for a round. Stage 3 makes you 2 for a round. Man, whoever runs Disturbed's YouTube's gonna find me and fucking yell at me. Bring it. At the top end, you fall unconscious for 1d8 hours. So that's terrifying, and also melatonin. The Guardian Naga is just drained in poison damage. Easy peasy. Spirit Nagas can join covens. Dark Nagas are immune to mind reading. Lunar Nagas, as I read their entry a little more, actually have addictive venom. Oops. And can fascinate people with hypnotizing scales. While they do that, they can sustain a spell too and just bring people with them. Lunar Nagas seem really, really, really mean. BRB, writing them into my campaigns. And the Guardian Naga, well, they're the lawful good ones, so they get less stuff written about them, I guess. But because Naga are so versatile, you can put them anywhere. Allies, enemies, or in between. Do you have a player who's really interested in astrology? Lunar Naga. Lots and lots of changelings? Throw a Spirit Naga in. Make a coven. Though DCs tend to fall off for items like this, short of like mechanical shenanigans, all of these beings are intelligent and innately venomous, so could grant that venom to folks who might use it for good or bad purposes, addictive or otherwise. In my games, I've become a very big fan of just making sure the consumables are present somewhere where people can get them without necessarily having to purchase them. That way you still have money for the things that like the math of the system needs, and you can like do fun things, have interesting stuff happen, which is kind of the point of role-playing games, right? Bringing Nagas into a game is also a great way to bring in the Garuda, an avian celestial being, the first of which was a servant of the god that stopped Ravithra, the mother of the species, from granting all Naga immortality. Wow, too bad that wasn't in Lost Omens Impossible Lands. That's a hell of a segue. I guess we're more concerned with finding that chalice and Captain America the Winter Soldiering, but sure. As adversaries. Now, as sentient beings, obviously even the worst Naga could make their own choice, but this is one of those interesting times where you can have 2 good aligned beings in opposition. I'm a big fan of that in my games. You can ask my Wrath of the Righteous players when the Des Knights and the non-Des Knights are butting heads. It makes for really interesting dynamics that you don't often see, and in this case it might literally mean fighting good aligned outsiders, which you almost never see. Very smart, very ancient beings who can trace their cultural lines way, way back to ancient empires are also brilliant quest givers. On both ends of the coin, perhaps like a Spirit Naga coven is very aware of what they used to be, has access to a bunch of lore, which the party just happens to need to find information to like advance the plot, and so you need to help their coven or fight their coven, as your party might want to do, in order to access this information. Or like a Guardian Naga who's very recently hatched, knows that thousands of years ago his people did some things that weren't great, but also held higher station and is now like left to live in some ruined jungle somewhere, only hearing stories from the occasional like arcane being that comes by that tells him, well, you know, in Nagajor, things are pretty cool, but lacks the ability to go there without help from his friends. The possibilities are endless. That's all the time I have for this one, though. What do y'all? Damn it! The possibilities are endless. That's all the time I have for this one, though. What do y'all think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm gonna dig into this series for a while. The YouTuber bug has bit me really, really, really hard. And there's just a lot of lore I don't know about. So I think I'm gonna do the Asura next week. Yeah, just keep cutting through impossible lands and then going back through Mwangi Expanse and just digging the fuck in. Till then, y'all, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.